This is Baja Rescue. I am Kirk Raleigh. I'm joined with Tucker Hopkins and Derek Asserbauer. This is one of the things that we wanted to kind of bring to the race scene, aside from everything else that we've already been doing and the efforts that we're going to make actually down there on race course. Before the race goes out, we want to kind of dive into the race course, analyze it, identify some of the areas that we think are going to be not necessarily problem areas, but could result in either difficult extractions or areas that are a little bit more dangerous than the others that we should just have an idea of and kind of have a plan if something were to go wrong. Tucker is a part of Baja Rescue with me, and Derek is a longtime racer, has a ton of experience down in Baja. So they are both the uh, great guests or speakers to have on about this topic. To start things off, Tucker, what is your kind of race experience like down in San Felipe? And what do you think about it?
Um, I raced down in San Felipe on and off. I think 2016 was the first time I raced down to Baja. First time I raced San Felipe was 2019. And then 2024, I Ironmanned it in the pro class, kind of chasing after what Derek did a few years prior. And I think it's a way that race can be raced. I seem to always end up with a section of San Felipe during the 1,000. I tend to get thrown on the bike either at night or in some sort of rough section. So I've spent quite a bit of time down there. The last 2 years, I basically had the exact same section, 24 and 25 during the 1,000, or pretty similar sections. So over the last 2 or 3 years, I've probably spent, I don't know, 2,500 miles or something pounding around that desert between racing and pre-running. So yeah, I mean it's rough, but I really enjoy it. I like it. You got to be smart when you're racing down there because of how rough it is. That desert will bite you pretty quick.
Nice. Derek, what about you, man? I know you've been racing forever and you got tons of experience down there, so kind of go over a little bit of that.
Yeah, man. My first time going down there was 2015, and kind of got the Baja itch, and then started racing down there. And gosh, dude, I've been around San Felipe a couple times. I also was the chosen one for San Felipe from the get-go. My first run at it was, let's see, 2000. Well, I Ironman the 2016 Baja 500, and it went through all of San Felipe. So I got to experience what the real heat is, and that was gnarly. But yeah, I've Ironman this race 5 times. I got one overall out of it. I've spent a lot of time in the sandbox. It's a special place. It's cool. It's where the big boys race, to say the least. But it's cool. It's super fun being at the ocean. It's hot, it's humid, but overall it's a cool place. There's a lot of diverse terrain, and there's a lot of good racing too. It big whoops, lots of rocks, a lot of sand, but it's cool. It's rad that it's a shorter race, and it's the first of the year, but it definitely packs a punch. It sets the tone to kind of see who's going fast, who's not, and you can kind of gauge the season by the first race of the year. So it's good.
A little
Nice.
bit of a fact too. I think 2023, I think, was the last year that Derek Ironmanned it. And
It is.
we both ended up on the podium. Myself and Kieran Aaron won the overall that year, and he ended up third. So pretty good time. Then we ended up being teammates for the rest of the year at the
Yeah.
500, 400, 1,000. He was racing with the 3X guys I was racing with at the time. So
Nice.
we've spent time in San Felipe, but we've also spent quite a bit of time racing together down there, which is
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, lots of experience between both of you, and I got a little piece of San Felipe. This was your race bike, Tucker, from 24. So still alive,
Does
still chomping, still ripping.
it
Um,
still run?
oh, of course, man, it still rips. But anyways, let's kind of get into the course. A few things that we want to touch on as we kind of go over the overlay of this whole course. The biggest thing that we want to focus on is either dangerous areas, like we were saying, or areas that are going to result in a prolonged extraction if there isn't already a vehicle that's there. So as we go throughout this race course, there's going to be tons of areas that we identify that have ingress or egress issues, whether that be, isolated in a wash or just far away from any type of already established roads. So, Derek, kind of take it away from the beginning. We'll zoom in here to the start, and there's probably not much that we can talk about, but I'll kind of let you lead it, and then just let me know what areas you want me to zoom in on, and we can go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, the start. It's kind of standard, starting on the Malecon, running south, and then it's going through the sand dunes to exit, which is pretty cool. Like old school start was in the arches, and it would go west out of town, straight to the dump road. So this start has sort of been the standard, for the last couple years. It's cool. I like it. It's fast. You're leaving. The sun's coming up. Going under that bridge right there, like literally maybe a mile right there. There's it's like a tunnel, and it is something that people definitely have lost going through. There's a lot of dust and the sun's coming up. For the first time guy that's watching this, don't pin it. Like just ride through pretty much until you get out of town. That underneath the road, and then it kind of goes south and it's straight there at the intersection road, or inbound and outbound kind of kiss. There's going to be a lot of people, a lot of dust, either the 1X or 3X I anticipate will be leading the race out of town, or however the drop position goes. But yeah, dude, don't think that you're safe on that road just because it's 25 feet wide. It's there are things in there, just kind of something to think about, for the first time guy or the guy starting in the back. But at any rate, yeah, I mean, leaving town, it's just kind of running south, it's sandy and whooped, and then you kind of get up next to the edge of the mountain, and then you kind of turn eastbound and then cross the road there. Pretty straightforward stuff, all the guys pre-running, there is access, all that stuff. If your guy goes down, that's old Portecitos road that it crosses there. So chase truck can go down there and access your guy. It's relatively an easy deal. All the way down, the airport's right there off the east side too. That's pretty straight and fast. Obviously there's rocks everywhere, but for the most part, from my experience, like things don't really get spicy until kind of where you're turning over there. I mean, there is big bumps and whoops and rocks and standard San Felipe offerings, but once you get into the washes and that turn right there, I'm pretty sure that's let's see, where the truck
Where
course
the
comes
bike and moto
back.
split.
Yeah, from that point on, like going into the washes, your guys can get to you. That's Portecitos coming down to the top, pretty sure. From that point on, you kind of want to be on your best behavior. Dude, if you go down in there, it's a long day. Like it really will be difficult to get a guy out. Like a truck can get up that, but it's really not ideal. They have some dangers. I think those are the preload dangers, but dude, there are rocks in there that are the sizes of microwaves, and they stick it to you,
They don't like to move.
Dude, they really don't. And the thing too, in the morning, like that's race mile 80.
80 for this wash right here, 85 down at the bottom beneath
But,
the
but
edges.
that's truck race.
Ish.
That's truck
That
race.
is yeah. So yeah, that's weird. So it's more like,
It's like
gosh, I think 40 is 45.
Yeah, we come off 30 right here
So
when we turn headed back west. So that's going to be about race mile, like you said, about 45, 50 for the bikes.
Yeah, dude. So you figure first bike's off at 6, they start on minutes. There's a fair amount of dudes going through there when the shadows are really weird in the morning and the rocks are completely invisible. Going up that, it doesn't look like it, but there are a ton of shadows, and those rocks, dude, they're like bars, and they go sideways, and some of them run like veins, and they're like 45s, and you can't really see them at all. And it's one thing to hit a rock square. When you hit them at like the rocks at a 45, when the front wheel hits, you get kicked, and it's up, sideways, forward, everything at once, and it just does not work out well. So, taking your time through that, there's nothing wrong with it. For the guy that's doing this and wants to complete the whole course and have fun, the lead bikes are going to be wide open through that stuff. But dude, there's a lot to lose right there. And I'm trying to calculate what it would be for bikes. It's probably like, I don't know, for 75 miles ish. All you can do in that section is lose. Like pinning it over your head through there, it's just, there's no gain to it. So being cautious and just riding the miles is definitely the approach that I would have. And you can kind of see like you're in between a huge mountain, a little lowlands, and then another huge mountain. Like getting the truck in there, dude, it's a mission. You're looking at least 2 hours minimum to get help. If you have a broken femur, dude, it's a long time to be in that much pain, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something to note too for the kind of the first time guys that are going down there, haven't been down there. A lot of the times when it comes through washes like that, it'll hug the sides of the wash. So the turns will hug either the left side or the right side. When you're coming around that right side, you're coming around that left side, and all of a sudden the rock like kind of bumps out a little bit more. You look down, you see like a little change of discoloration in the rock. Chances are that's a piece of granite, it's a piece of sandstone, it's some type of rock that's coming off of the side of the mountain or side of the hill. That rock doesn't stop at the bottom of the wash, it continues all the way across. So
Yes.
especially in the areas where the bike course overlaps with the truck course, all the trucks are going to tear that up. They're going to take the race line and put the hammer down. Like they're not worried about finding the smooth line through. Like they hold their fucking foot to the floor and they're burning 40s with 800 horsepower. They do not care. They're going to burn to the bottom of that thing. You're going to come around it on race day, and the course is going to look different, even though you pre-ran the day before. It's going to look different that next morning, and you're going to smoke a giant vein of rock that's going to be underneath it. So, especially in the morning, like what Derek was saying, trying to that keep cognizant of like how those shadows look and how those things look. A lot of the rocks in that area too just blend in with the sand. Like you can't tell that there's a rock there. It's not just because of the shadows, it's because they are literally the same color of the desert.
Yeah.
Touching on the truck course real quick, just in terms of access and everything else, looks like it's pretty straightforward. Obviously, it parallels the 5 heading back down, tons of access into there. But then as it kind of heads into the wash, we were talking about it before we started recording. Any access back into here, what we were just talking about with the bikes, but any access into this wash is going to be super difficult. Either coming back down, what we talked about back up north above our screen, or coming in through race course to effect a rescue. So as it gets back over to kind of connect with the race mile, what would be a motorcycle at like race mile 33, where they start heading back kind of southwest, all that stuff will be a similar type of access to what we were just talking about right here with these with this wash. Heading back down into what's actually Matomi, right? Yeah, talk about that wash, and then up to what's going to be race mile 110 for the trucks, and across this kind of open wash bed right here.
Yeah. So like when you're looking at the overlay here, like the red line coming down, for the truck course from the deviation from the bikes, that's Old Portecitos all the way down. And then at race mile 40, it does continue. It's on the asphalt actually, and then hooks a right, and then it comes up Matomi. So one thing too is like the guys that are kind of cruising. Yeah, thanks, Kirk. That is Matomi Wash there, so that's like the full length all the way. The outbound course that the bikes are taking, the right hand turn, that is shared with cars. So just figure that those cars are pre-running that too. You know, with the way the blue lays over the top, it looks like it's bike course, but it is getting pre-ran on today and tomorrow and the next day. So from that point, all that stuff that's super rocky and fast, it's all, both four-wheel and two-wheel are using it. So definitely kind of expect that to be pretty chewed up for the dude that's, pre-ran twice or, goes out once and gets the notes. And race day, it's way different. They're like, whoa, just obviously beware of that. They are using the same thing. And if you're behind on race day, those trucks are going to be there. I mean, actually, they won't because of the way it's split. But yeah, anyhow, never mind. Moving on.
So we just went over this section right here. So let's talk about kind of obviously once the trucks and the bikes converge back down, it's heading back down south, hops back into Matomi and starts heading west again.
Yeah, so that's pretty fun stuff. It's fast, definitely deep sand. Basically, until you get into the kind of the narrows there at like race mile 105, it's pretty fun stuff. There's definitely rocks in there. Right there though is really, really difficult access to get help. So definitely be on best behavior for sure through there. And then kind of climbing back up. It doesn't really look like it, but that kind of weird little like foot shaped deal is actually a mountain climb. And then it pops up on top of the mesa. Yeah, through right in here. That continues back kind of northish to what would be Morelia Ranch. And that's pretty much from the central part of San Felipe. That's the only place to get help from. So that right hand turn, that's sort of like I don't know what angle you call that, like a 30-degree turn there, a little bit more north, would really be the most ideal place to get help from. There's a road, you can't really see it, but Morelia Ranch Road does tie all the way back to that point. Yeah, there you go. There'll probably be a pit there of some capacity, but that is sort of, there's the ranch there as well. But if you do have a problem north or south of that and you can go, limp it in, that's sort of the ideal meeting place to plan for, if the situation becomes that, that's what I would do.
Last year we had a pit there. That's where I got on the bike coming south. It was from the entrance of Morelia, so the entrance of like basically the gas station from town. It was an hour and change, maybe an hour 25 or something to get down to that 30-degree turn in the road. And I mean, we're driving down the road at 4:45 in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. Like we're getting down there so I have enough time to like get all my stuff sorted because I was getting on at race mile 80 or whatever I was getting on last year. That's not race day traffic. That's not trying to get through the zoo across Morelia Road where it hops the highway where you got trophy truck teams trying to get splits on their guys, and it's a zoo in that whole area. So if you have the ability to have someone either at a visual or a check, or you have someone that's splashing gas at that turn, it's not a bad idea for them to have a few extra things. You're going to need four-wheel drive for the most part to get down there. All-wheel drive would work, but you're going to need 4x to get down. Guys were getting stuck on that road last year with two-wheel drive trucks. It gets super deep coming down that road, depending on how well they've maintained it. And I'm not down there this year, so I don't know what it looks like. But
yeah, Yeah, it's a mission getting there too. And like Tucker was saying, a big thing is if you do plan on doing any kind of service there, I mean, it should be like a pre-planned deal, but that guy's got to be there really freaking early because race day traffic. The other thing too is that's a working ranch. People live out there, and if they have a cattle trailer, dude, they don't like it when you go blowing past them down the road. It's they live there, so definitely being really early and taking your time is a huge one.
Doing the calculations real quick, a rough estimate, if the race course splits at about 30 for the bikes, that's about 42 miles of truck course that it cuts off. So this that right-hander that you're talking about, Derek, is probably right around race mile 80 for the bikes. So
Yeah,
that may be stretching a tank. I'm not sure, but there's probably going to be some pits somewhere along there.
yeah, for sure. 80's pretty far on
Yeah.
fuel. I would never push it that far, but
I mean, you're not doing your first pit at mile 80
Yeah.
yeah, no. Maybe a
unless
stab there for fuel,
unless you're
perhaps.
using a 4 gallon tank or something like that. But there's no way.
Yeah, no. It'd be quick fuel at the surfboard, and then I don't know the miles at the next where it pops out there, but it probably yeah. I mean, either way, it's nice to have someone there.
Right.
Even just like a visual check, someone with a Gatorade in the water or a Snickers bar or something.
Right. So now
Yeah,
working back
it's
our
just.
way. Sorry, go ahead, Derek.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's a burly part of the course to be completely alone. Most people will help you, but yeah, I mean, for the guy that's not got a decade of experience, yeah, it'd be nice to see someone at that point, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk,
Heading
scroll
back
down.
into the mountains, it looks like it goes through all these washes and starts getting pretty remote again until it pops back out on the other side.
Yeah, definitely. That wash, pretty good time going through there. It's not super gnarly. The cars will probably make it through there. I don't there's really no spots in there to like get bottlenecked or have like a huge hang up. Bikes, it's pretty flowy and fun. It's not super taxing. Obviously, there's always rocks and weird things, but getting through all that stuff is pretty straightforward. And there's not like a lot of deviation from the course, which is good. Um, but yeah, pretty straightforward through all that stuff.
If something were to happen in there, access is race course kind of only, right? Getting in or out.
That's the tricky part, man. Yeah. Worst case, like serious emergency, you kind of got to do what you got to do. Like, if it's critical, make it happen. If you had a dude over off Morelia Road, like it's possible to get there, but it'd be really, really hard in a truck. Me personally, if I was down, I would want my guy to go backwards up the wash. It's against the rules. It's super dangerous. Um, you know, but if you're gonna have someone that's fatal, use common sense, air the tires down, go slow, stay off the main line, and you know, boonie bash it the whole way up. That's what I would do. That's what I would hope someone would do for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could. It looks pretty wide. Like maybe you could land a helicopter in there, but uh,
Yeah. A few
it could probably be
pretty
done.
limited.
Pretty limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have to have the assistance of some sort of truck to get the injured
Yep.
rider to some sort of extraction point.
Yep. 100%.
But so it kind of opens back up, gets over to the bay side, to the east side of it. We
Mhm.
have all of this again this is a OPR, right?
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
Portecitos. There are some good access roads in there. It's kind of hard to. Yeah.
so
There's
we got one
one.
right here.
Yep. There's a handful of roads that run out there. Honestly, Google Maps has gotten kind of almost good enough to the point where you can zoom in or like Onyx or Lead Nav and kind of trace back like There's a handful of really faint old roads in there that can be used in the instance you need to, but that's pretty accessible from the road, that whole loop there.
Mhm.
And it's not anything super gnarly. Kind of all the way back around to it's fairly manageable stuff, you know. The cool thing is that Old Portecitos Road there kind of services all of that. So if you did have a truck somewhere in that, yeah, exactly in that vicinity, you can get where you need to be relatively quick. So that is and you can service both sides too. So if your pit guy's out there, he can kind of go either way or kind of idle in that area until
Mhm.
you're clear of that next little choke, and then kind of headed over towards Diablo at that point.
I mean, generally, if you had the personnel to do it, like I know if I was racing down there, I would probably just have one dedicated crew that would kind of just sit on that side, and they would
Yep.
kind of put you all in the same zone from basically the surfboard kind of all the way up. Um,
Yeah.
and they would stay in that zone probably until they got to the other side of Diablo. Because realistically, unless someone goes in at Morelia, sending a guy in on a bike or something like that up race course is going to be your best bet to get someone over to the, race mile 165, 170, 175 and all the way up is your best bet is going to have someone like that race mile 155 turn or in that area um, going up race course to get to that person, assess them, whatever it is, or for the car and truck guys, get throwing someone in the side by side and get, go track them down.
Yeah. Yeah, and for the guys that don't know too, like Tucker and I, we have the turn where the bikes are deviating. That little bit of dirt, we call it the surfboard pit. It's kind of funny because Andy and I, Grider, we put a surfboard in the bushes years ago,
That
and
right, this junction right there, Kirk, where the
yeah,
come together.
yeah,
Got
right there.
it.
There's a surfboard in the bushes, and it was sort of something we did just one day out messing around, and it was rest day, and we threw this blue surfboard in the bushes, and it kind of stuck. We made a joke, oh, it's surfboard pit, but for the guys that do want to possibly use that, um, the road that feeds that is from the town of Delicious. It's the town with a little Volkswagen. It's just right past it. It's pretty darn easy to find, and it takes you right to it. So for what it's worth,
Nice.
yeah,
Creating history, the surfboard.
yeah, something surfboard pit, man.
Nice. So we were kind of left off at 155. As Tucker was saying, any access right here from kind of race mile 155 all the way over to the lake bed. Um, access is going to be, again, a bit of an issue. Someone that was staged over here, kind of on the west side, uh, if they were down there, they could come back up that, or what does that look like?
Yeah, well, they're going to take Morelia Road all the way back up.
Mhm.
So you would say you're at that turn where you do your pit at like race mile 115 or something. You're going
Mhm.
to hop on and take Morelia Road all the way back up until you drive back into Morelia. You can get to the lake bed. Um, it's a lake bed and you can get on it. But you're potentially get stuck gets pretty quick once you get off the lake bed. All the camel grass and all the sand up there when you hop off the lake bed gets pretty soft pretty quick before you kind of get back up and around to Highway 3.
So all
Yeah,
of
I'd like
this,
to
go ahead,
like
Derek.
what Tucker was suggesting too, like that. For the dudes that don't know, that right there is Morelia Junction. So that point is what was, well, Zoo Road. Used to be dirt, now it's paved. The pavement ends a couple miles back, and where the cursor is there, that road is what runs all the way down to that ranch, Morelia Ranch. So the top of Matomi Wash, and it's pretty darn good. Like it's a graded flat road, so that kind of area pretty much when you come back over towards the middle of the peninsula there, that would be your access point for your guy, pretty much paralleling the road all the way down. And it's drivable. You know, you could it'd be ideal to have a truck, but you could send it in a car if you really, really needed to. It'd be rough. Your freaking cup holders would be missing afterwards, but you know, it could be done kind of thing. I think we went a little past there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for what it's worth, you know.
So we come up here and now we're following along the road. It gets pretty good for in terms of access, um, all the way up to where they deviate again, and then eventually dead ends at Highway 3. What do you guys want to touch on in here?
Hold it wide open across that dry lake. It's 100 or nothing.
Triple digits, we'll be
No,
tracking.
And if
you
you
know there.
if you're
So
using it,
something to be said about that dry lake, dude. It is flat, but there is huge things that will wipe you out. Like there's a video of Tavo from a few years ago that I'm sure everyone's seen of him eating one of those like sand mounds at 130 miles an hour, and dude, it is gnarly. There is stuff out there, and people camp literally 50 feet off the course, so accidents can and do happen there. Um, you know, it is flat and fast and super fun, but in the dust it can be super dangerous. So caution, especially going out there too, like if you're doing a pit or whatever, and the trucks are running, just be mindful that those dudes are going, I don't know the exact calculation on feet per second, but they're cruising across that dry lake at 130 or better. And when they start splitting up to pass, dude, they'll get 5 miles wide. And if you're cruising along in the Land Cruiser, and the course is over there, dude, that truck's still maybe coming right at you. So be real cautious, you know, being around the main line out there, because those guys are going so damn fast. It's like it puts everyone in danger, kind of thing.
something to
But
note on and off the lake bed. I hope I was pretty vocal when it happened. I hope that maybe there's been a little bit of learning. But in 2024, San Felipe, they changed the race course the night before the race and added a VCP at a turn. And for the people who haven't seen it,
Insert
I'm sure
clip here.
yeah, right here, clickbait, boom,
Here.
boom, boom.
And I was pre-running a line that we were using all week. It kind of straight lined over this dune. There are some ranches at the entrance and exit of the lake bed. And a rancher didn't like that guys were coming across his corner of his ranch, so they added a VCP in the turn. I smoked a ledge in a silt pocket and front flipped at 50 miles an hour. I was nose wheeling in the silt and looked down at the Stella, and it said like 48 or 50 or something like that. I had a nice soft landing spot, but just know that if you're, especially on the lake bed, if you're a bike guy and you happen in a truck line and you get caught in like a silt pocket or something pretty soft, either go faster or slow down really quick. Because the faster you go, you can make it over those little pockets. But if you lock up the brakes, you can hopefully shut it down before something happens. That was my issue. I was going too slow to make it over it, but I was going too fast to shut it down before it happened. So just something to note. You know, it's the truck lines will get you, especially for us bike guys.
CC.
So just continuing on, now we get up here, we kind of parallel the 3. Obviously for our purposes, we have good access.
Those are real.
Say again.
Those are real dangers.
Oh yeah, let's
Oh
talk
yeah,
about those real
dude.
quick. Yep.
Ooh, those are real dangers. Yeah. Some of the stuff from Score, like for the bike, you're like, well, it was kind of sketchy, but not entirely. Those ones right there, oh, dude. Yeah, those will kill you. They are big nasties, triple downs, the whole 9 yards. Yes.
See if we can see 'em.
Danger.
But all this area
Yeah.
is pretty traditional race course. It's all stuff that we've raced.
Yeah.
last couple of years. We didn't race it at 1,000 this year. It was a little bit different section the way it kind of zigzagged through there, but San Felipe, it's very traditional, paralleling Highway 3 and hopping in and out of the washes and the hooped out two track on the side. Nothing really to note there. That course is going to be pretty burn in, broken in. It's going to be pretty soft. Not really a whole lot of like hard edges for bikes or cars or anything like that.
Nice. So now we cross the three. Is this crossing at three poles or there's three poles over here?
Yeah, so 3 poles is that intersection El Chinero right there. Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, coming back.
Yes. So that'd be like Borrego East, I guess you'd call it.
I can't,
Um,
it's hard to tell. Is it jumping across at like the traditional little jump in the wash?
it doesn't seem that way to me.
Like it,
I I also haven't been down there for this one, so I'm kind of going off memory here, but no, because the angle would be different.
it'd be
Um,
a 90 or more than a 90.
yeah, I believe that is some old stuff that we raced in like 2018 or 19 that came the opposite. It's
Yeah,
been a while since I've ridden that exact road. Um,
it might have been
but
what you raced, Kirk.
Yeah,
sorry.
coming back into it.
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
if it is fresh race course, especially with only a week of pre-running, I mean, I think something to note, especially in San Felipe. I don't know how much rain they've gotten this last year, but with the rain and you have washouts and then it dries out and stuff gets pretty hard packed. Um, the edges on the course and the curbs in those washes and in some of those areas, they are very unforgiving on a motorcycle. Especially this whole section that we're going into right now, race mile 190, race mile 195. The trucks have split off already. So this is only bike course. The trucks aren't breaking those edges down at all. This is bike course only. So it's kind of something to note that it for the lack of big bumps and stuff like that, you won't have the big truck bumps that develop. But it's also not going to break the course in as much. There's something to be said for the trucks breaking a lot of those curbs down and things like that.
Yeah, speaking of rain, it says right here one of the pre-marked dangers, rain ruts. So have that in the back of your mind. But so as we keep moving north, kind of crosses the lake bed again right here, and then it starts getting back up into this wash and onto the kind of the west side of this mountain range. So there's another danger marked. Again, it just says a ditch. Do your own homework, figure out what that is, what that looks like. But we'll talk about kind of this course, and then we'll go back over to what that access point was that we found earlier.
Kirk, if you scroll down real quick to when you come across this whole section where race mile 200 is across the center, that's not a dry lake bed. That's a big wide open wash. So there's veins of wash going all the way through there. It's stuff that we've raced the last couple years at the 1,000. We've raced it up and down both ways. So all of that is pretty rough. I'm sure. I'm sure the top guys. I know me and Derek have a few lines through that section that is pretty smooth, a nice old race course. We'll see what it looks like this time around, but um, it is pretty unforgiving and it's soft getting in there. So if something does happen in that section or going up to 205 or up to danger 8 in that zone, it's going to take you a bit to get some help in there.
Mm-hmm. We'll keep going up it. Something happens back here. Let's talk about that. What does this kind of section look like if you guys remember? And then kind of access to get back into there.
Dude, that little bit coming up to from my memory, that should be right as you daylight out of some really gnarly rock whoops. And it is so violent on your hands. It's really rough. All of that's really rough. Um, to my recollection, there is access road that runs from La Ventana right there. I think we pinned it earlier. I'm really pulling off a memory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
scroll up, Kirk.
I
Yeah.
do believe that is the one that will get you there, and that is basically it. It's
So
a
Kirk, if you drag across, kind of runs all the way down, kind of keeps going, zigzags, and scroll out a little bit.
Yeah, it's
When
going
you
to
get
dump you way up here where my kind of cursor is. So
when when you get to that red section right there, there's no real developed road. There's kind of like a two track that kind of skirts the foothills that kind of right there. But even that two track is old race course, so it's going to be slow going, super rocky. All that little black rock section is really, really deep, like shale sand almost. It's like these broken down like shale granite pieces. And it's you need a four-wheel drive to get through there.
Yeah, don't crash there.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
try not to crash anywhere.
Try not to crash anywhere, but up there, dude, that ground is so hard.
Yeah. So
It
anywhere
really
really
is.
from, from this danger, from race mile 205 all the way up to where it starts to U-turn, heads back down south, um, maybe from that access road that we found and onto race course. Otherwise, you're going in, like Derek was saying, if it's life or death on race course to try to get to the injured rider. And then we kind of dump back out and we start heading west back towards the highway. Um, Gets towards the highway. Obviously, the closer we get, the better our access gets. There's more probably veins and washes, like Tucker was saying. This isn't a dry lake bed. This is a wash. So,
And
um,
it's all stuff that we just raced at 1,000. You're just going backwards.
gotcha. We start heading south right here. Tucker, this is where the bike had problems with pre-running last year at the 1,000, where we picked you up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right there.
Heads back south. We talked about it earlier, kind of crosses right here at Three Poles. Thank God that this is going the opposite way because the ledge, the ledge going northbound. And, when we
Oh,
were,
it's so gnarly.
yeah, we watched a couple people come through there and it bit them. So,
Oh, dude.
um, yeah, and then it kind of takes it all into the finish. So go ahead and kind of walk us through that. What that looks like, Derek and Tucker.
I think the biggest thing coming into the finish, and it's something that we didn't really talk about on the start or at the jump of this. We can kind of talk about it at the end, but when we start coming towards the finish of the race course, 235, 245, 250, you're parallel on the highway right there. So there's going to be a pretty big chance that you're going to have some spectators and people in that area. The also issue there is you're going to have people, not only spectators in the area, you're going to have people driving across that race course. Because unfortunately, people like watching trophy trucks. They don't always like watching motorcycles. So they want to see the big trucks go fast through the desert. And they're going to get across the race course right there to see them at like mile 235, 240, 245. Something to note a little bit, and we can touch on it at the end. Actually, we'll just touch on it at the end. But you're going to come around, and then it's kind of normal as things, just normal pound and San Felipe hoops, kind of all the way back into town. I don't know if Derek, if you have anything different, but
The same thing, man. Yeah, basically like I'm trying to zoom my eyes in here from like race mile 250 for the bikes. That's pretty much like the old start. So, that would be, I don't know the kilometer marker off the top of my head anymore, but yeah, it's a straight shot. It's big truck hoops the whole way. And I think it's about 22 miles from there, roughly back to town. Yeah, it's a straight shot, obviously, like Tucker was mentioning, that is Zoo Road. Like that's what the Dust to Glory is about. That's the whole bit right there. And that's where Morelia crosses that. And there will be 1,000 people there. Like they'll shake their kids at you. They will throw things at you. It's the real deal. That section, dude, there's huge hoops, huge rocks. Definitely there's been a lot of massive crashes there. I could name a few, but I won't throw them under the bus for the sake of being fair. I can see Tucker smirking from here. But yeah, that is traditional San Felipe start finish right there. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. Cool thing is that it is separated from the cars until right there where it chokes up. So,
Hmm.
you're not having the panic of like, man, is a truck going to swallow me up in these monsters when you're beaten and tired? So there's something to that. But yeah, pretty much all the way in.
And then where it makes a right turn there at those rocks, it does kind of slow down a little bit. It's a little bit more twisty, turny rock, kind of it's still hooped out, it's still big holes, but it's not just picking the center line and plowing hoops all the way down. It's a little bit, kind of through some washes and turns and stuff. And then you get back down to the ranch roads. And unfortunately, ranch roads is where you're going to start running into people again. You're going to see running into spectators, people getting their Honda Civic stuck on the race course, things like that. If you're the lead bike guys, you're going to be the first guys coming in. You're going to have people driving backwards on race course, trying to make it out to see find the point where they want to go sit and watch trophy trucks come in. Because all those little straight roads all the way down there, those are all like pretty well maintained roads that you're kind of racing along or catty corner or next to you. I mean, you can see in the grid pattern how many roads are out there, and it's basically all these races are like national holidays for the people who live down there. But it's also just people want to come out and watch, but you're also going to have people just going to work for the day.
Very true.
Nice. We come back
Very
here
true.
almost pretty much to the end. It rejoins what you guys came out on the race course. They were saying that timing, watching the videos and looking at the course map, I believe stops right here. Does that seem right for what you guys have thought?
Yeah, you'll stop and then you'll just it's ceremonial finish back to kind of through town. I also think it's a kind of once you get to the dunes. I didn't look at the finish, but I think it's a speed zone once you're in the dunes. Once you come out from under the bridge or close to it, you hit a speed zone somewhere in that stretch. And I think it's a 37 miles an hour speed zone. So, I mean, kind of once you get under that bridge, you're pretty smooth sailing unless you decide to do something dumb in the last like mile of the race.
Mhm. Don't do that.
Don't hit the coconut, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that kind of wraps up going over the course. What do you guys have, in terms of tips? You guys have both been down there a bunch for bikes or for cars, looking over the notes, pre-running. Obviously, we're going to try to post this video tomorrow, so that's going to be Wednesday. There'll probably be a couple days left of pre-running, and then race day Saturday. Bikes go off the line at 6, trucks going off around 9:30. And it's going to be warm. San Felipe always is. Yeah, what do you guys got in terms of that?
I'm a pretty big proponent of IVs. I've always done pretty well getting an IV the night before the race. There's a few different people down there that do them. There's some people from some Mexican guys that I've gotten them from. Kirk's also given me IVs night before the race. IV hydration. If you're drinking gallons of water the night before the race, it ain't going to do you any good. You're just going to flush your system out. You need water, but you also need salt, potassium, magnesium, element, electrolyte, anything like that. The biggest thing for San Felipe, and this especially, maybe not so. This is maybe not so much for like the top guys because the guys who are battling for the overall. Derek knows, I know, plans change. You all of a sudden you're within 2 minutes of someone that fuck it, we're not doing the wheel change. We're gonna hold off 40 miles. But something that I always try to stick to, and I've learned from racing down there, is you build a plan and you race the plan. So if you have planned to take on a camelback, if you're an Ironman guy and you plan to take on a camelback at race mile 100, but you barely drank any water, and you come to 100 and you say, oh no, I don't want it. Just take the new camelback. You're stopped. You're doing a service anyways. If you have a plan to do something, do it. There's things that you can kind of make judgment calls on, but when it comes to especially a warm race like this, like you've spent 100 miles on the bike, that's probably, if for someone in like an Ironman class, you're probably on the bike for 3.5 hours or something like that in that realm. That's 3 hours that sun's beating down on that, warming that stuff up to where you don't want to drink it anymore. Change it. Make sure you get enough nutrition, sleep, especially for pit crews going out. take the extra hour to get out there in time. Like, do not be racing to and from your pits. That's almost more accidents happen with your pit crews going to and from, and your chase guys going to and from areas than not. Something I did want to note for the bike guys, similar to what Derek was saying in the morning, the shadows are pretty gnarly. Coming under that bridge is very dark. But that whole section, the first 5, 10, 15, 20 miles of the race course where you're shared with common course, everyone and their mother is going to want to get out there in time to where they can pick out the perfect spot to watch the trophy trucks come by. So you're going to be racing on race course, and you're going to have people, cars driving to and from backwards on the course, going out on the course so they can get to the point where they want to go. So there's that age old thing, like, you can't win the race in the first turn, but you can lose it. You know, like, you can't win the race in the first 5 miles, but you can lose it by smoking a car, by trying to get around someone. Like, just take the second and, check up and get around something. It's not super prevalent like it used to be. People are worried about uh, booby traps and things like that, and those are kind of like taboo things. Like, we've raced down there so much, and both me and Derek love it. I mean, every phone call I get about racing down there, I genuinely try to make it happen. Um, if you see a giant crowd of people in an area that you're not supposed to see a giant crowd of people, just check up. Like, there's probably either a pit dug there or a jump dug. Like, they're gonna sit around something. Like, just take the second and check up. You don't need to be on like the crash highlight reel. I've been on it. It's cool. It's funny. It's great when you finish it. But like,
You don't be that guy, man.
don't be that guy. I've been that guy. Don't be that guy. But
I think we're gonna have to put in a couple clips of Tucker.
yeah. We got a few. Derek,
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, dude, there's a lot of things throughout the years that I've learned down there, but I mean, the big ones that really kind of stick, and it's, we're all moto dudes, this is geared more towards moto safety, but towards for everybody, right? It's like we're all down there trying to accomplish a goal, and if that goal doesn't happen or you break or something, when everyone starts panicking, that's when huge accidents happen. At the 1,000, usually it's more of a thing. Like, and I will kind of say that truck guys tend to have some really gnarly drivers behind the wheel of those things, ripping trailers. Bike guys at the same time, though, everyone's guilty of doing sketchy stuff on the road. It happens. I get it. Everyone's wound up. Shit hits the fan. You want to get to your guys as fast as possible. Something to think about is if there is a problem, there's still a problem. That problem is not going anywhere. If the pit guys get out of hand and crash on the road, kill somebody, cooler isn't strapped down the back of the truck and the tailgate's down, it flies out, hits someone, then you have shit all over the road and it's just a huge mess. So if there is a bad situation, which there will be, there always is, just staying calm and having a logical plan to kind of like assess what's going on, that's a huge deal, with safety, with chase crews in the pits. It just staying calm and not panicking is a huge way to keep things safe and, just alleviate more bad things from happening, because it's clockwork, dude. The guy runs out of gas. You have, dude ripping out of the pit, fuel in the back. He tears down the road. It's just bad. So that's kind of one of the big ones now that I see. I drove the chase truck the last 1,000 and dude, we blew a mirror off, mirror to mirror on the road. That happens all the time. It's just kind of be in the mindset of like anything can kind of happen at any time, thinking ahead, like Tucker was saying, chase guys going out early. That's a huge one. Being prepared, being set up. sticking to the plan too, kind of backing that up. I can't tell you how important it is to have the pit guy be where he's supposed to be. And until someone tells that guy to leave, you wait. Like, it doesn't matter if the dude's 2.5 hours late, don't leave. Because if Uncle Tom finally makes it in there and he's huffing and puffing and he just wants, a lemonade and a cigarette and no one's there for him, dude, what is that? Stick to the plan, and it keeps everything mellow. I'm trying to think of any other pieces of advice. A really good one that I heard years ago from the legendary Kendall Norman himself was, when you start racing down there, you have two bags, right? So one bag is luck and one bag is experience. When you start, you have a whole lot of luck and not a lot of experience. The more years you spend, things shift. You have a ton of experience and no luck left. So, take that with a grain of salt. But as you learn more things down there, you start to really kind of stand back and go, dude, some of that wasn't so scared, wasn't the best idea, and it's better to have a slower start with things, in retrospect, slow down. You're not going to overall the race your first go at it. You might think like, hey, dude, I'm going super fast. I can tell you right now that the top two bikes, those guys are going really fast. So just enjoy it, have fun, be safe, ride within your own limits, and make it to the finish line. That's the goal. And you've already finished the race until you make yourself fail. You've got a bitch and race bike, you got all these people, all this stuff, all this money spent. You've already got it done. All you got to do is just stick to the plan and just do the miles. You know what I mean? Baja always wins. You just take little bits of success as you go.
Oh,
That's my
a great
speech.
point, man. No, to kind of go back to what you were saying about trying to remain calm, and I think that we'll
Yeah,
kind of wrap up on this point. Coming from the fire service, Tucker can talk on this as well. Being a lifeguard, when we respond to an emergency, it's not our emergency, and if we freak out, then we're going to create another emergency. Now we have two emergencies on our hand, right? That doesn't solve any problems. That first emergency still exists, and that still has to get solved. So, remaining calm in times of chaos can better the outcome drastically. Um, you know, the old saying of failing to prepare is preparing to fail. I think that's one of the big things that we wanted to talk on by doing this, by identifying some of those areas, having a plan. If something were to go wrong, I don't care if it's a bike breaking, if a bike breaks in the middle of the wash or if you break in the middle of the wash, you still need to get recovered somehow. Hopefully it's your bike and it's not your body, because if it's your body, now we're going against time. But by having a plan in place ahead of time and identifying those areas, then we can, try to have a better outcome. Looks like Tucker's phone probably died, but we've been at this thing for about an hour, man. I think we'll wrap it up. I think this was a great start. We learned a lot how to do this. Hopefully the viewers find benefit of it. We're just here to, try to share some of the knowledge that you, Derek, and Tucker, and from my research, what we've learned, just to try to make it a little bit safer. It's a dangerous sport that we
totally.
love. It's a dangerous race. It's dangerous going down there. But we love to do it. So let me add Tucker back in here real quick, and then we'll see if he has anything else to add.
Oh no, we lost him.
Oh no, he's not here. But
Need the supercharger.
I'm back.
oh,
There he is.
I'm here.
Tucker, we were just kind of wrapping it up, man. I don't know when you kicked out, but talking about emergencies, trying to stay calm. One thing I'll add on is if there is a medical emergency, like we were talking about, staying calm, trying to get to the rider, trying to get any information that you can, whether it be through other people who stop in the race course, spectators, other chase crews, communicate what kind of injuries they are back with SCORE, back with the proper channels, and just, coming up with a plan to get to them, whatever kind of vehicles you guys are utilizing, and then getting them to the proper care, whether that be the clinic. On Fish's video, they were talking about the clinic is up and running right by the Crocodile on the north side of town. So hopefully they're there with good capabilities is all I'll say. It's sometimes it's a little bit of a guessing game as to what that they can do there. But have a plan. Like that's what this all was about is putting a plan in place, and like what Tucker was saying, sticking to that plan. Tucker, you got anything to kind of wrap up?
No, I think that's it. Build a plan, race a plan, and that kind of goes with everything. If you're going to leave at a certain time to get to a pit, leave at that time. If you have a kind of fail safe in motion of when someone gets hurt, I think there's merit to every team does it differently. I always had my own personal inReach and my cell phone on my bike. But if not everyone has one, strap an inReach to the bike and make sure everyone has their app on their phone so they can pull it up. The technology is there nowadays. It's like we don't need to wait for hours and hours and hours to figure out what happened to someone in the middle of the desert. It's there. So there's not really any excuse or reason to not have that stuff and not utilize that stuff. Um, so and yeah, I think it's kind of all I have. Bummed I'm not down
What
there, but I'll be down there in the 500 and in one way or another, either racing or not. So
I kind of have something to add that just crossed
yeah,
my mind too, as far as like
so that,
a medical emergency type thing, and it's something that I've always done it. I don't know if other guys maybe overlook it. For the dudes that are coming, Americans, right? When we go to the track, we don't. There's no reason to have identification on you, because the truck's right there.
this one's big.
This is kind of a big one. I had a really gnarly emergency last year, and we've known the guy forever, Brandon, one of my best friends, and we didn't have a couple things that we needed to tell the medics. So I always do this. I race with my passport or a passport card. Um, yeah, the more you're down there, the more people know who you are and who to call. But dude, have your ID, have a passport. If you do need a med flight, it makes things easier to have a passport going home in a helicopter or a fixed wing. Also, dude, write down just on a piece of paper, or if you can laminate it. Guys down there, it's too late, but dude, just write down like your emergency contact info. Gosh, your blood type, your age, if you're allergic to anything, because something that maybe people overlook, maybe they don't, but if you're in a local ambulance down there, it is not what we have in the United States. And if you need a transfusion, if you need something, you need a heavy hit of medicine and you're allergic to morphine, they might not know that.
Mhm.
So for your own safety and the safety of, everything kind of around your orbit, have your stub, dude. Write down your name, age, date of birth, freaking, well, that's the same thing, but you get what I mean, and carry it with you. Put it in your fanny pack. If you don't want to wear a fanny pack for whatever reason, you don't, shove it in your boots, because at least you got something, it's a big one,
I don't race without my passport anymore. I used
yeah,
to race with just my passport card, but there's more and more. Yeah, it depends on who's flying you out a little bit on whether
sure.
passport, no passport. You can kind of figure some
That's a great
things
point.
out.
That's a
But
great point. Yeah.
but if you are getting flown out, and we are going to go by letter of the law, you will not get flown out if you do not have your passport. The letter of the
There you
law
go.
is you need your passport to fly out. So there's not that much difference between a passport and a passport card. And I shove the passport and some pesos and cash and whatever in my fanny pack. Just the cash is for fuel if
don't have a pit somewhere and I all of a sudden need to buy fuel. But that's besides the point.
I do the same thing.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
All great points. I think that's a phenomenal point to end on. Have your proper identification, have that, medical emergency contact information, any allergies and anything that you may have a plan in place, prepare, put all these redundancies in place. At the end of the day, we love racing. We know it's dangerous, and we're not trying to, turn a blind eye to those dangers. We're trying to acknowledge them and put a plan in place so that, God forbid, something does go wrong. We have a fallback. We have a plan to execute to make sure that you're safe and your outcome is good. So I think we wrap this thing up. I think it was a good video. I'll get to work posting it. And thank you guys for your time. Derek, thanks for everything. Tucker, thanks for
Of
everything.
course, anytime.
Yeah, I've got that 30-second clip too. When you go back to the lake bed, I'll send it to you so you can.
You-
insert that.
Yeah.